unmuted.
All right, I think we're live. Our second
Second.
YouTube live video stream. We started to put together some videos. Now we're doing some YouTube lives, which is kind of fun and different. But I think actually today is a fun, well, it wasn't that fun of a week, but a week that I think was very important for our company that we just kind of want to talk about and thought it'd be a good one to talk about on YouTube Live. So obviously our show is running your SaaS business, right? We're learning, we're starting up, we're starting to build the tools, the team, all of those things. And obviously there's outside influences that cause things to happen within all of that. So I think let's start with first, we're going to talk with the first topics, how we tested 20 plus support tools in 4 days.
Yeah.
Right. And these are the types of things that cause me to lose my hair. Right. Is we do a lot of this deep dive into these types of things that is all time consuming, all mind consuming. Right. For 4 days, I feel like it's been like this, where we've tested different support tools. Abdul challenged me to find some tools that he's never heard of. And I think I actually found one or two that was, that he, and we out of the 20 plus that we tested that he had not heard of. I dug into the deep interwebs to find where these tools lived and tested some of those out. And one of them actually made it to one of the last few ones that we decided between. But why don't we just kind of talk about what you think we're looking for, what I was thinking, especially when we first started, how our mind shifted of how we're actually going to try to address these support tickets and things like that. So
I think we never thought that we'll end up testing so many tools so fast, and definitely it was an experience, and I think we now know enough that we can open up another SaaS business, and I think we know enough for these tools. But I think I think we had another video that we did last week where we were talking about what we need from a tool, right? Because originally my thought was that we need a ticketing solution as well as a chat solution, but then I think Michael, we started having this discussion and you challenged me that no, why do we need tickets? For us, customer support is paramount, right? And now customer support, none of us actually, even though tickets are good for me from a technical point of view to manage things, but I think none of us like them in a way, right? We like having someone get to our queries on a conversational note. So I think that's where we started our tests, and we started with Intercom. We actually signed up, we got everything ready, and we said, okay, we are doing it. We are going with Intercom, and I think we went with it for 30 minutes. I think, that's what we did. We went with it for 30 minutes, and we said no, we have to see if there are some other tools. And I think that's when Michael started his marathon of tests. Yeah. And I think we did a lot of testing. I think it was a very good experience, even though it was a lot of tests, a lot of time that was invested on those tests. But I think now we really know very well the landscape that we are in, the way these chat solutions or support solutions work, what are the strengths and weaknesses. I think it's so maybe something that we can write also as a blog post and share with people, because we saw certain, I think from my side from a technical point of view, and Michael from your side from a business point of view, the strengths and weaknesses of some of these platforms as well.
Yeah. And I think that the interesting thing is to think about, now, did we deep dive on every 25 plus, 20 plus tool? No, we didn't. If we immediately landed into a roadblock that we could not see our way around, we bailed on the tool, right? Now, with the bigger players like Intercom or some of these other ones, they kept coming back, right? We kept coming, oh, nope, is this any better than Intercom? Nope, is this any, Intercom was the one that we would constantly be measuring against, right? And as we identified one that was better, then it would be okay. And then at times that one would fall back because of restrictions or things that we didn't like about it. And even the current platform we're on has restrictions, but we like them, one, because they do a lot of development, it seems. They're constantly releasing things, right? I'm speaking for you in that space, right? Because I think you saw that from them. And I think it does 80% of it, right? Or 85% of it. And, I'm thinking at a bigger, broader scale of things as well, not just for the WP help or the SaaS solution that we're building, but my other businesses as well, and putting those on there. And there are limitations when you start to scale like that, right? And I think, I think some of the things we looked at was ability of integrations, right? Like having the ability to integrate with different things. So why don't you talk about other things you think we're looking from a technical point of view, and I'll talk more from the business use case, and we'll see where those two things kind of line up. So from technically, what did you think? Like obviously Intercom did some nice things, and then some tools lack some things, but then the solution and I'll just before I do that, your point of not having tickets is obviously a hard thing. I mean, having those places stored somewhere that you can come back and address those, it's hard to move away from that. And will we have conversations that go on for days that look like tickets? Probably, right? But the idea is to try to address these as quick as possible through customer conversations. So talk about any of that I just laid out there for you. So
Yeah. No, I think from a technical point of view, definitely there were some tools that were like not good, but I think most of the tools were good. I wouldn't say like from a technical, like integrations have become very easy now, like integrating a tool within your system, even once you have a platform and you want to send customer user data, because that's what I was looking at when we were looking at a tool, because there were two types of tools that we came across, right? There were some tools that did just support, and then there were some tools which were like more like all-in-one suites which did support as well, tickets, if it conversations, be it chat or however you want it, and marketing automation as well, like Intercom, one example, Gist, the one that we are on, one example. So these guys did like these guys did marketing automation as well. So when it came to marketing automation, I had a little more kind of in-depth look at them, because I knew, okay, I'll have to use them to run my automation rules once we have the platform, once we have the SaaS tool. So then seeing the ability of how easy it is to send custom user data, how easy it is to filter on that, how easy it is to run a flow on that. So I think these were the things that I was looking at. And one thing that I think I'm also very big on, and I know Michael, you are also big on, I think you should elaborate a little based on our past experiences, is the UI, is the usability, and the speed of the platform. Because we had a couple of platforms where we went in and we just didn't like the way, the speed it was, like it had to load things. So I think that also played a major part in some of the decisions that we did. And I think you have some good examples of when we moved from some previous tools as well because of that usability.
Yeah. I think that's actually a great point. I actually said this to Brittany just a little bit ago about, I literally wouldn't test tools based on how some of their websites looked before I even got into the tool. Like if it looked like the website was from 5-7 years ago, there's no reason for me to test the tool, because I know the usability isn't going to be what we're expecting, like an Intercom or like a Gist or something like that. And when we moved from Trello to ClickUp, and then we were on ClickUp for 6 months, 7 months, and then we moved to Monday, and the ability to the usability of Monday is just seen light years of our business. And actually was on a run earlier this morning, and when you're running, you don't have much to think about. So I thought about just how much usability really plays into a tool. And as we build this SaaS business, it's like almost giving me anxiety, because I know how important that's going to be for us. It can't just be this tool that just sits there and, oh, hey, click up here you go down 4 menus and over here. No, it has to load quickly. It has to work quickly. It has to do a lot of things quickly, and it has to be very easy to use. And I think the usability, even with this, like as we move to Gist, we like the usability. It's a lot like Intercom, which is a well-known platform, but it has some other things that I think is good. And same with the price point, right? We analyze price point, a lot of different things, and I think you can talk a little bit about that as we kind of looked at that. So why don't you talk about that?
Yep, I think for us price points definitely, like, because we are at a very early stage right now, so we don't need a lot of features. So definitely the price we are with any platform right now is not big, but obviously, like, we have to think about the future, right? We have some scaling plans already in place. We know where we'll be 12 months, 24 months down the line. So some of these platforms especially start becoming very expensive when you get to that stage, because one of the biggest issue is that they are per seat, and for some reason, like, most of them have a very high per seat cost as well. And then if it's a marketing automation tool is added to it, then they have a cost of contacts as well, where you have to pay $15-20 for each 1,000 contacts. Now you have to see how they measure the contacts as well, because some tools are measuring the total base, some tools are measuring the active contact base in the 90 days. So I think there's a lot of pricing thoughts that you have to place into your tools as well.
And I think you actually brought up a good point about the pricing, why you see these price points the way they are. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because I thought that was really insightful on us that are building SaaS businesses, why we see the price point at $30, or that's what we normally saw, or above, right?
Yep. Well,
So
I think that I was reading about I think it was from Profitwell that like the sweet spot on pricing. So $30. That's why I think we have started seeing a lot of, because if you look out, like $30 is the kind of the spot like you'll see most anything you want in the SaaS market is 29, 32, 35, 39, 27, like very close to 30. So I think 30 is, I think we were discussing that as well, like for our new SaaS business, like what should be the pricing be. So I think $30, the idea here is that if it's $30, is an amount which is not hugely expensive and is also not something that you'll just pay out to just for fun, like, oh, let's subscribe to this for $30 a month, like Netflix, $10 a month,
mhm.
and just if it's there, if I use it, I don't use it, it doesn't matter. So $30 is more of a commitment that you have to give.
Speaking from the guy that buys all the
Yeah.
tools, right? This guy buys every tool available.
Yeah.
If you guys want to sell him something, just send it to him. He'll buy it,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
how he is.
No,
So
and I can agree to that because I can say like certain tools that I've bought that were like cheap $5 $10 tools, I have maybe even if I've not cancelled them quickly, they have been there for months and months and I've not used them, and then eventually I'll cancel them. But the tools that I pay $30 or 25 $30, there is a chance that I'm using them. So if I'm using them, because the worst case for a SaaS business is that your customers stop using your tool, because if they stop using it, the next step they'll have is they'll cancel it. So I think
yeah,
that point, I think just another example, like very recently I subscribed for Superhuman, which is an email client, a really good email client. So we were having a laugh the other day. I think Mike and me like, why this tool and what does it do? And it's $30. It's also at exactly $30 a month. So and it has forced me also to use it because I think of it, okay, I'm paying $30, I better use this tool. So I think it's a way. It's I think it's more of psychology, and I really agree with it. Maybe I cannot like kind of justify it with numbers, but I do agree with it that it kind of does create some sort of psychological connection. Those $30 and plus amount.
but this guy is paying $30 a month just for an email tool, not even an email platform like G Suite. He's just using a tool that helps him manage his email for
Yeah.
$30,
Yeah.
we'll see if it works out for him.
No,
He's
I like
testing
it.
it out. And
I
it's,
like
it's
it.
going.
I like it. I'm
Good,
superhuman now.
good. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
superhuman. That's what
Yeah.
he keeps telling me. All right. So, I mean, is there anything else we kind of want to hit? I mean, so I guess for us, we're using GitGist, right? That's what we're. Abdul actually said this the other day. He said we need to stop testing because we
Yeah.
kept going and we would not stop. It was almost like
It
this
was not a
this
gist as well.
addiction
I
that
could
we
see
had.
that. I could see that in your eyes, like when we were at gist, like, oh, this, let's try something else. So I think
Yeah.
that's what we thought about. Let's give it some time. Let's just give it a chance to run it because I think
Yeah.
in so many tests it was there in the top three. I said, okay, let's just give it a chance.
Yeah, and I think your idea of, hey, we got to give this a chance longer than 30 minutes
Yeah.
was a good point. So we're letting it run through the weekend. Next week, you guys may hear that we've used a different tool. If you know of a tool like Intercom, a communication platform that I didn't find in the dark web, you didn't see me sign up recently in the last 4 months, send us your information. I'll test it on the side, and Abdul doesn't need to know, and we'll see if it's better. But that's the tool we're going to start out with, with that marketing platform to come later, but more just the communication. I think the usability has been great. It allows us, I mean, the mobile app is much better than what we were using before. It's actually better than Intercom's mobile app, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I was getting more alerts more quickly through the platform. I think we've seen, and this is the ironic thing about support platforms. You would think support platforms would have great support. Guess
Yeah.
again. I think there's been one platform, GitGist, that's actually come and answered my questions when I've been online, right? So that's something that's a little bit ironic about all of this, is that these support platforms don't have good support. But yeah, is there anything else you want to kind of talk about before we jump into the point number 2 of what we're going to talk about today?
No, I think that covers it, and I think there's just one point I think people might think, and we also think like, why did we end up testing 20 tools? Like, because in my mind, when we started looking for a tool, a use case isn't unique, or a use case isn't very complicated. We have very simple needs, but for some reason, I started feeling after like I started seeing a pattern in this. Like after we tested like 3, 4, 5, 6 tools, I started seeing a pattern that many of these companies, these support tools, they really focus on the big things. Definitely, they do chat, they do it well. Most of them do it well. They do emails, like, but there was such small things that like were big turnoff for me, and for some of those points for you as well. Like inline images, for example. Like there was a basic test that I used to, because we as a hosting company, we get a lot of, for website maintenance, we get a lot of screenshots, we get a lot of inline images from customers in emails. When they send us an email, they send us some screenshots or images to show whatever they're showing. So I was very surprised, because I think very few of these tools showed inline images. Most of them would just take all images out and put them at the bottom. You figure out where each image is. So like you read the email and you figure out where the images stand. And in some cases, they even dropped images. Images didn't, because then you ask them, you say, okay, you can only have 5 MB image size. Now we never know. The customer doesn't know. We haven't received the image. We don't know the customer sent an image. So like these small things, I think that shows like everyone is definitely focuses on the big things. But I think these small things, like one thing that we discovered today about the team, that most of these tools have a team feature where you can assign people to teams.
Mm-hmm.
But then for some reason, like everyone who's not in the team can also see the emails of the other team. So
Yeah.
it didn't make sense of why then have a team, right? So
Yeah.
I think these small things, I think that's why, if like you said, if anyone who's looking has a tool, if you want to give us a free access, because we are very good testers and we can suggest you very good features. So I think, and that's how I think we both are, that I think any tools that we work with, we always have a lot of feature requests, because I think it's not about a use case, it's more about how we want to, like how we see the workflow.
Yeah, I'll say this, and the cat's out of the bag for GridPane now.
Yeah.
I'm not the one submitting all those tickets for feature requests at GridPane, right? It is Abdul most of the time. I think one time I went in and I was like, hey, how do I turn off SSL?
I remember that.
The main person there was like, what? Like he couldn't understand how I didn't know how to do it when it's been Abdul forever as my user. But we test hard. Like I told Abdul today, it's interesting how within 30 minutes, we're pushing the brink of these tools already. And we're doing that at Gist. We've already sent 2 requests in. Hey, can we fix this? Can we do this? With the team inbox, and noticing these things. And it always blows my mind that people aren't requesting things like this when they're using these tools. So I think that kind of does a good job talking about how we tested the 20 tools. Like I said, we didn't go in depth on everyone, but for a lot of them, we did spend a lot of time looking at, the features that we needed, how the usability was. Little things like how to close a message. Like I didn't want to have to do 3 clicks to close a message. You might say that's dumb. Okay. But we're going through a lot of tickets. You think of that at, the number of businesses we hope to have on this platform. That's a lot of time every time you have to close a ticket.
And I remember that one other with this ticket part, where if there are 2 users who come on using the same email address, but one user, like the user sends an email first and then later comes to chat, uses the same email address, they're treated as 2 contacts. So then,
and Intercom even did that.
Intercom does
even
that
a
as
massive
well.
Platform. Yeah.
So like chat and emails, like, and I couldn't find any easy way to merge these contacts as well. So that these small things where like, which you would think are very simple and like
That's
easy
not
to
that
understand.
small.
It is a small thing. Like if there's the same email address, you combine them, right? They might have the use case, but that's how I look at it. And the problem is that when you sometimes, like I think with a few platforms when we submitted these features, it seems as if they say things as if you're the first person to kind of say that, right? I never like that, because I cannot imagine that we would be the first to say that, right? With a huge platform, which like not even Intercom, with other platforms that say they have 10,000, 20,000 companies on board. If you have 20,000 companies and no one has told you inline images aren't working, then there's something wrong with those 20,000
Yes.
companies.
They're not, I don't know how they're using the tool if we found that. Literally within our second email that we sent. The first one is to make sure that the support inbox is set up properly.
Yeah.
The next one is the inline images that come, right? So it's interesting to watch this happen. And then, like I said, the support wasn't strong, right? Abdul has challenged me that he thinks I almost over support clients, right?
Yep.
Would you say, like, at some level, right? Yep. And going through this process actually made me see that, like how much poor support there is out there for a support tool. I was actually very surprised that I can't get answers from people, or that it takes more than an hour or 2, right, to get back to people. And that's what I like about the conversational messaging, is that it's very easy to get back to people in that space. So, all right. we'll belabor that point, I think. But if there is a tool out there, please send it to us. We'd love to check it out. All right, number 2. So 4 days of the week was spent on that, right? So then a
Let me
half a
bring
day
back the
today.
option so people can also see what was the second option.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Is how we're planning to make our team productive during lockdowns, right? So right now we have COVID-19 happening. It's April 10th. Right in the middle of it. We've seen the Providence, the Wuhan, Canada, in China. They have let people back out. They've seemed to be past it now. We'll see if that's the case or not. There's different testing going on. I saw Sweden is not doing anything now. Like they're just letting people, telling older people to stay home or the elderly to stay home and let everyone else get it. And then, there's everything in between where you're hearing different stories about what happened in Pakistan. We don't know what's happening past April 30th yet, right? We don't know if it'll be another month or whatever. We're hearing that sports in the fall will still be delayed, right? So football, which is or soccer, I guess it's football here, real football, I should say. Probably get killed overseas for that.
Right? That's subjective, right?
American football, I should say, is going to be pushed out. So like a very uncertain time, right? So we've had 1 month now where we've had an office, we haven't had anybody in it, right? So now we're thinking, okay, hey, we're going to plan for the worst, hope for the best. It's kind of the thing that we talked about today.
Yep.
And so let's talk a little bit about how you plan and how us three, Fran being the third guy in this, and we'll give him a shout out and tell him to come watch this. So that
I've already sent him the link.
Okay, great. We've talked about this today and how we're going to approach it. Obviously, people are moving to remote work anyways, but I think this is where we start to see a little bit of the culture difference, right? Where the U.S. is very much already in the work from home aspect. We're doing a lot of it, and the people in the Pakistan are not as much. Would you agree with that?
I think that's absolutely correct. And I think for us, a little bit of a challenge, because I think if it was already a running platform, I wouldn't be that much concerned or that much worried, because then things are already running. Right now, the reason me and Irfan, like you said, and Hassan, the other guy, why we're thinking of these things is because initially we needed to do a lot of collaboration that has to happen, right? Because there's a lot of features that have to be planned, a lot of documentation that has to be done, a lot of planning that has to be done before even the first line of code is written, right? There's a lot of things that have to be done, and these things are best done, even though people might disagree, because there are most of the companies that work from home are software companies. So definitely we cannot say that this doesn't work. It does work, definitely. But I think for us, one of the major problems that we are the hurdles is the culture, and people are not as adapt to working from home. And on top of it, because it's a new platform, so then there's a lot of collaboration that has to happen. So we are figuring out, okay, what's the best way to do that? What tools should we get? How should we plan the day? Like how should we think, okay, let's get Zoom. We already use Zoom, so let's get Zoom. Let's start planning people. Let's set the times. Let's work from Zoom. I think me and Michael already do. We use Whereby for that. That we are just there. We just log in, and cameras on, everything is on. We're just working together. So if there's anything comes up, it's like an office. You just pop on, you can discuss, right? So having that sort of an environment there. So, but these are, I think, things that we will test, and I definitely we will keep viewers updated. Very small number of viewers, but yeah, we hope they'll grow. So we'll keep them updated on this journey. But I think for us, I think like you said, we have to plan for the worst and hope for the best. So I think that's what I'm trying to do. So at least we have a plan, because we do want to go into development early May. So right now the lockdown here in Karachi, the city that we are in, our office is in, is till 14th of April. So 4 more days. But we are hearing that it might get extended. So some people are saying it might not, some people are saying it might. So I think we have to start planning for that, so our work doesn't get disturbed, and we start as per timelines and make sure that we're hitting those goals as well.
Yeah, and I think the reason that is because it's not going to be an excuse, right?
Yeah.
And that's how we're approaching it. And that's how we hope to run this tool, that, hey, sorry that we can't go into the office. We still have the internet. If Elon Musk ever gets the Skynet going, we'll be all dialed in, right?
Yep.
But it's something that has to happen. We're still moving forward. That's why we're still investing in resources. That's why we're still doing the show. That's why we're pushing with this platform still, and we have to figure out a way to work in the environment that we have. There's opportunities. I think I saw something recently that some of the greatest companies were started in the last recession of 2008. Slack, Airbnb, some of these very, very big companies started during the recession, and maybe one day we'll be that company, right? People will be a well-known name, right? But you got to be able to push these times. And I listened to Simon Sinek today, and there's huge opportunity. It's not the same opportunity that you had before, right? He said before, maybe we were all drinking from a fire hose, where now we've really all hunkered down, looked at expenses, and really tried to push forward with the things that are needed in each company.
Yep,
So
and
little
just
bit
on
off
that
topic,
point,
but
I'd like just to add on that point that because everything is, I listen to that talk, so everything is hunkered down, everything is down, and still we are selling our product. So that shows us that we aren't a service that is like what do you call it, a luxury item where people might buy it if they have the money. I think the work that we are doing, and especially once the platform is out and the results and the solutions that we can bring to the market, I really believe that we would have a product that would like that can sustain these times. And I think I personally definitely, like, people are saying that the worst is yet to come in terms of the virus. Yes, on the economic side, I think the we are going into some hard times. But personally, I think that the bulk of the virus, like, we have kind of, it has kind of become a way of life right now, right? You're not hearing that kind of. So I think that's what was needed. Like, people have decided, okay, we cannot be afraid of this. Like, we have to like live, kind of fight this and live with this. So I think that's where things start turning, right? That's always when humanity starts turning towards the positive, right? When we collectively have decided that, okay, we cannot, like, it won't go away. Like, people were hoping it would go away. It's not going away. So it's something we have to like kind of work around.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. It is, there will be a new norm after this, right? There will be less people going into the office on a daily commute in America. I can almost guarantee that's going to happen, where people have now shown that they can work from home, be productive, where maybe there's, like, when we do go back, I bet it'll be some level of social distancing, right? Where, hey, you can go to restaurants, but only half full. You can go to the office, but only half full. And people are going every other day or something like that, right? Where we see different types of things happening with the office or people working together. So I think that's how we're looking at how to plan for where we're at right now. So I think I think that's kind of how we're planning to move forward with us during lockdowns. I don't know if we want to show up.
Yeah,
The third
just one
point.
thing, just one thing. You mentioned Elon Musk there about Starlink. So I just hope it gets like, I know many people are not happy with it, because especially people who like astronomy, like, they don't want to see all these 40,000 satellites in the air. But I think, like, this is a big leveling field. So I think of it as a big opportunity, because right now Michael shows me his speeds of 2 gigs, and I'm like, oh, I have just 90 megs. So I think that would just level the field, and like that would get internet to the whole world. So I think that's just like, once that happens, this whole industry is just about to explode.
Yeah, and it'll shift everything. Everybody that buys from these providers currently won't need to buy. So what's going to happen to all these people? Like, I think there's a lot of fear with those bigger corporations, and we'll see what, obviously, in America, what happens with politics around that and all that stuff.
But especially like countries like America, where internet is already very, like, penetration is very high, where you have internet almost everywhere, they might not feel the big difference. But the rest of the world, like, where internet penetration is still like 10-20%. So once you have satellite, so you can imagine the size of the market, the e-commerce market, and where all these things will go, right? When suddenly, with the click of a button, everyone has internet.
Yeah, I think your point there, because I want to go back and talk about this, and not to brag, but we're going to brag a little bit, is it's April 10th, and we've had a sale every day, right? So that's the first time we've started a month and we've had a sale every day. We hope to keep that going. I think we're going to make it through the weekend, because we had somebody just reach out today that's going to move forward, and then somebody that's actually launching a site tomorrow, which Abdullah has to launch, a 1 hour difference from him. And then we'll see what happens on Sunday. But to the point that, is it a higher end service item? Yes, it is. But people are seeing the value, the SEO value, and the actual data, right? It says the sites are faster, right? Anything over 2.5 seconds, you lose 20% or whatever the actual numbers are. Like, it's incredible what we're able to do and see with our platform. And it'll be great once it's an actual SaaS business, right? So, all right, number 3, what's new on our SaaS?
Okay, so what's happening? I think that's more of like, because it's actually about running a SaaS business and also talking about what we are doing. So I think it's a good way to have a weekly update of where we are. So I think compared to last week and this week, I think the main difference has been that we have started having daily discussions with our development, especially our lead developer, and as the team comes in, so with the rest of the people as well, of the technicalities. So I think I think we talked about some of the technicalities yesterday as well, Michael, like what kind of stack we are using and what kind of how we are envisioning the product, how are we envisioning the APIs that will work, like front end, the back end, what stack, what technologies are we using on both ends, how are we looking at security, because I think that's a big point for me personally, that I do want to make this a very, very, very secure product from day one, right? Like I would
Yeah.
go as for saying that like not many startups think about security in a way that I want to think about it, because many times when you're starting it, the idea is everyone has access to everything, everyone is just developing it because the idea there is to just get the things out of the door. But then if something happens, or even if something that doesn't happen, and once you get to a certain stage and you want to start securing things, it becomes a problem because the structure, the code, the way you architectured the product is not kind of based on that. So I think for us, how the admin panel is, how our APIs are structured, how
Well, talk about that a little bit, because I think that's a valid point of, because when we said, hey, how are we going to build this system? Okay, we're going to build it. Okay, how's the admin going to be? Well, they'll just be one user level higher than that. And that's how I assumed we would build the platform. But
yeah.
then you corrected me and you said,
Yep.
you want
Because I
to
think that's the standard way of doing it, that everyone everyone has a panel, a dashboard. So people log into the dashboard. When you log in, you just log in one or two, however user access levels above, and it's the same thing. But people might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the better way of doing it is to do a different admin panel altogether and keep it on a different API, everything. Because why, when you have a single dashboard, you have to expose the whole API to that dashboard, even though people who are logging in on a lower level or on lower access level don't have access to it, but there is a possibility because there's not many checks between the admin and that. So the idea that we have is that we'll be building a altogether different admin panel, altogether different. It's not there, like it's not accessible to the users. We'll be protecting it. It will be IP protected as well, and it would be on a domain that no one knows. So if that gets leaked, we know it's someone. We have a mole. But yeah, so the thing is that the idea is there is to like make sure that it's completely separate. So you don't have any kind of APIs or any accesses that are on the public dashboard or the public API to have any of those accesses. So I think and then how do we have which user has access to what? So I think that's from day one that we'll make sure that like when it comes to servers, when it comes to things like that, user data, not everyone has access to it. And we have logging. So like let's say if a customer comes in, and I think I haven't discussed that with you as well. So this was like on the security side that I was planning that when a support request also comes in, and let's say a customer has requested something to be done on their server, on the instance or the website, when a support agent logs in, it gets logged. Okay, which agent got the ticket, which agent logged in. So things like that, making sure that everything has a log so things can be backtracked. I think this is good for compliance as well, which will later be going for. So getting those compliances and making sure people are comfortable. And I think once we launch, we'll have all these processes public, so people can see it. People can see how seriously we take their data, and also not just for public but also for other people as well, like other people who are running
so
SaaS
people can
business.
learn from it. The reason,
Learn from it also and give us more feedback as well, because once people see it, we have a lot of intelligent people out there, so they'll see, okay, you can make this thing better like that, so then we can also make our processes better, but also to give our customers the safety of mind that, okay, because people do have these concerns, okay, who has access to my data, who can look at my data, who can look at my website, oh, you're hosting it, so who has access to the servers. So there are very clear access roles from the start, like who gets like access to server, except the leads, no one has access to the server. Then access to the websites, only engineers have access to the website, but that also is completely logged. So anyone who logs into any website from a system gets logged. And what changes he does, everything gets logged. The file changes get logged. So that's the idea, to make sure that we can give customers that. And I think this is a place where we want to differentiate ourselves as well. Because performance and speed, definitely that's one of our USPs. And then being transparent about all these things and being like showing, not many people show that, telling them how seriously we take security. I think that's also one of the things that we will be kind of, for me, it's a differentiating factor.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. And obviously, you got to be secure in this business, right? So It's great. I'm coming from the speed side. You're coming from the security side. I'm coming from the business side. You're coming from the technology side. So I think it's a good mesh to hear you say that. And I 100% agree. You got to be logging everything so that we know and can help correct our team, but also show, like we've seen a number of times where we've had logging and seen the customer mess up their own site, right? And then be able to help and coach them through of what they did to mess up their site so that it doesn't happen again, right? So I think that's all part of it. So that's kind of, is there anything else you wanted to add before we wrap up here on our second Facebook Live?
YouTube Live.
So God, it's the second time I've done that.
Second time, yeah. So I think just one more thing, that we finally have a public roadmap. The link is live. It's not kind of populated yet, so we will be populating it over the weekend. But then I think in the next video we'll be showing that, and like we'll be showing it to people, so if they have any suggestions or if they want to vote on, like more of I want to make this as, and I'll be sharing it with the community as well. Like I want to make this as a platform that people build, kind of they kind of build, they help us build, so that once it gets built, it's something that they wanted. So that's the idea. So we will be sharing our public roadmap as well, even before we started doing any code.
That makes my heart be very warm. I appreciate us getting that up and running, right? So I'm great to hear that. I think it is a good next step, because we do have a lot of we have 80, 90 different feature items right now listed on the spreadsheet of what we're going after. So I think, starting getting some of those loaded up and getting some people to upvote them would be great, right? I think to help see what the community really wants to have. So our second YouTube Live is complete.
I don't know how long that was. I don't know how long was it.
I don't know either.
It's
I think
40
about a
minutes.
half hour.
It's 39 minutes.
40 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
Not bad. You said it would be 30 or 40 minutes. I didn't believe you, but once again, I'm proven wrong. So have a great day. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. We'll be here working if you have any questions.
Yes,
have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.